Good morning. Welcome everyone to this morning special talk with audio-visual presentation by Dr. Najmus Saquib. Okay, let me start with the prayer. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The title of the presentation is Sufism, a magical journey through the valleys. He had presented the first portion of this talk, Sufism talk, a few months ago, and this is the concluding portion. And those who do not know, for them, Dr. Najmus Saquib is a philosopher at heart, but an engineer entrepreneur by profession. He received his PhD degree from the University of California at Davis. He brings immensely rich cross-cultural perspectives through the personal experience of living on two continents, Asia and North America, among people of different faiths and cultures. He has written a book. In his book, God's Facebook, he strikes an unusual balance by presenting diverse opinions from all faiths. His choice of quotations, supplemented by historical footnotes and occasional commentary, speaks of his deep understanding of religion and philosophy. That book will be available at a concessional price at our foyer. And he is speaking at Parliament of Religion. That announcement is here. And we shall also go, we shall also attend. And I invite Dr. Najmus Saquib to make his presentation.
Hello, can you hear me out in the back? Yes. Okay. Good morning. Thanks to Swamiji and thanks to all of you for attending my second part of the lecture on Sufism. So what I will do today is to cover a few slides that I have covered last time, just to recap. And I want to also thank Vedanta Society for inviting me. I feel like I'm very welcome here. This is my third time I will be speaking. I want to thank Swamiji and all the members of the society. So thank you all for that. Now, so a quick recap of the first talk that we did in March, that I explained why should we care about Sufism, what is Sufism, we talked about origin and evolution of Sufism, Islamic and universal Sufism, we talked about that, and we talked about relationship with others, Vedanta, Yoga, Gnosticism, and Jungian psychology. So we covered that. Now we started our magical journey in Disneyland last time with a Sufi song from Pocahontas.
We all connected to each other in a circle, in a hoop that never ends. How even sycamore grow? If you cut it down, then you'll never know. Colors of the wind.
What happened? Oh, nice sound. Can you turn the lights off maybe? It'll be a little bit bright here. Can you all of you see the video? Yes. So what you heard in this song, we are all connected to each other. That's a fundamental message of Sufism. And whether we are white or copper skinned, we need to sing with the voice of the mountains and the colors of the wind. Those are the fundamental message of Sufism. So loss of connections from each other causes these world problems. We see war and terrorism because we have lost connections to our fellow man and fellow women. We see ecological disaster because we are not connected to the planet Earth. And we see meaninglessness and greed in our life because we have lost connection to our soul. So that connection is very important for our better way of living. So Sufism is a way to strengthen those connections and make the world a better place. Now you note this special word I use, Sufism is a way. Let us not assume Sufism is the way. So our soul bird is caged in religions. Multiple religions have been in this world, and we have seen our soul bird is caged, and every religion people have found exit points. For example, in Jainism, they created moksha. Hinduism, Vedanta, yoga, and bhakti. In Buddhism, Zen. In Judaism, Kabbalah and Hasidism. Christianity, Gnosticism, and Quakerism. And Islam, Sufism. Basically releases our soul bird to fly high. Now, in part one of my lecture, we boarded the magic carpet and traveled to Nishapur, Iran. The famous poet from the 12th century, Fariduddin Attar. He wrote a book called Mantiqut Tuair, English of which is Conference of the Birds. In that journey, basically all the birds of the world gathered together to look for their king, the Simurg. So they began a journey. And the journey was very difficult. It crosses through the 7 valleys of journey. And today I'll be talking about this journey. The stories I will embed in my talk is journeys through these 7 valleys, and I'll insert some of my own stories from different parts of the world. So we'll talk about Fariduddin Attar throughout the presentation today from his book. So what's happened, all these birds are not happy with their lives. Birds are like human beings, our own lives. So we're not happy. So we begin a journey to meet the Simurg, the supreme being. We joined the journey last night. So the leader of the birds are called Hoopoe bird. So before we reach our goal, the Hoopoe say, there are 7 valleys we have to cross. So it talks about the 7 valleys that we need to cross. We cross the journey. First valley is the valley of the quest. Then comes the valley of the love. Then comes the valley of the understanding. Then comes the valley of the detachment. The 5th valley is the valley of the unity. The 6th valley is the valley of the bewilderment. And the valley of the death. So as we journey through all those valleys, we'll explore Sufism and we'll share with you what Sufism is about and how it can help us. So part 1, those of you who did not attend, we crossed the valley of the quest. So what are the 4 take-home messages from the valley of the quest? Number 1 take-home message was Sufism is originated at the quest for the 3rd missing leg of Islam. Islam talks about submission and faith. 3rd missing leg of this tool is doing good. That's what the Sufism is based on, ihsan, called doing good. Second take-home message we took from last lecture is that Sufism is based on these integrative ideas of Islam, because Sufism started as part of Islam. So Islam, Iman and Ihsan, submission, faith and doing good work, which is very critical.
وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ دِينًا مِّمَّنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ وَاتَّبَعَ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا.
This is a verse from the Quran I picked up specifically because this verse which refers to all the 3 components of Islam which basically culminates into the Sufism. You can see it talks about submission, it talks about doing good, and it talks about the faith. So all these 3 components, when you combine them, you get an Islamic viewpoint of Sufism in this thing. So what happens? Sufism's focus on ihsan, doing good, basically lets us connect to our fellow man, to the planet Earth, to our soul. So how do we connect with our fellow man? This is the Sufi behavioral model. What does Sufi mean? Sufis, in generosity and helping others, they should be like a river. In compassion and grace, they should be like the sun. In concealing other faults, they should be like the night. In anger and fury, should be like death. In modesty and humility, they should be like the art. Art is always below your feet, it never complains. In tolerance, it should be like sea. It takes all the pollution of the world and cleans it up. So that's the fundamental Sufi behavioral model to connect, because this helps us connect to our fellow beings. Doing good is unto self, self-purification of our soul. We need to clarify our soul. There are many diseases of the soul that one of the great Sufi Imam Ghazali pointed out: pride and arrogance, hypocrisy, desire, show off, and greed and the restlessness. But essentially, the purpose of Sufism is to try to get rid of these diseases of the soul by connecting to our soul. Now, how do we do good to the planet Earth? Because that's also very important. So Sufi's environmental model is basically based on this great saying by the greatest Sufi of the 12th century, Rumi. You've probably heard his name. He is the best-selling poet in America right now. So he says that everything, air, earth and water and fire, are God's servants. We think they are lifeless, but actually to God, they're living. And they basically based all their philosophy based on Quran. Seven heavens and the earth, and all beings therein declare His glory. There is not a thing but celebrates His praise. So if we come back to the Sufi model, earth is not a dead thing.
You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name.
So essentially this kind of helps us connect to the earth. And we also learned from the last journey on the Valley of the Quest that God resides in our heart. We don't So there's 4 take-home messages from the last time from the Valley of the Quest. We'll cross more valleys. As you know, there are 7 valleys. We'll explore more aspects of Sufism today. We'll share some Sufi stories and their practices. We'll also talk about utility of Sufism in the real world and how do we move from clash of civilization to friendship. So, next comes the Valley of the
Touch me, let your reasons go. Eyes will close.
So we go to the Valley of the Love. So Saint Teresa of Avila, one of the Christian, leader, thinker, says it's love alone that gives worth to all things. Now, if you look at our world, love is a cliche in our world. Isn't it all our struggle? We are trying to be being loved or not being loved and wanting to be loved. If you think about it, that defines life, doesn't it? And rest is all posture in our life. So let us board the magic carpet. and travel to Bollywood. Look at some of the Sufi songs they have used in their movies. Talks about love and selflessness.
रब की कमाली है इश्क कोई, दिल की दीवानी है इश्क कोई, महकी सी प्याली है इश्क कोई, सुबह खिलानी है इश्क, गिरता सा झरना है,
Love is everywhere.
उठता सा कलमा है इश्क कोई, सांसों में लिपटा है इश्क कोई, आँखों में दिखता है इश्क, मेरे दिल को तू जान से जुदा कर दे, यूं बस तू मुझको फना कर दे, मेरा हाल तू मेरी जान तू बस कर दे आशिकाना, मेरे वास्ते मेरा इश्क सूफियाना, मेरा इश्क सूफियाना, मेरा इश्क सूफियाना, मेरे वास्ते मेरा इश्क सूफियाना, मेरा इश्क सूफियाना, मेरा इश्क सूफियाना.
So you can see love, the most important thing is love is selfless. Bajid Bastami is one of the greatest Sufi from the 9th century. This is what he said: in search of love, I wandered far and wide. From thought to thought and fear to fear I went. The final clue is buried in your stare. So long as I continues to exist, the sun I seek is shrouded in I's mist. I meaning our selfishness. You cannot love while being selfish. So you have to become selfless. That you heard in the song. Now let me tell you some story of how the greatest Sufi, Rumi, how his I-ness or ego is broken. You know, Maulana Rumi is currently the best-selling poet in America. He's one of the greatest Sufi. So he was a scholar of Islamic literature. So he used to lecture in front of his big group of students. One day, he was lecturing to a big group of students about different parts of Islam and Sharia. So a ragged man with very, bad dress comes in, stands by, and asks Rumi a question. What are you teaching here? Rumi looks at this man, judges him by his clothes, and tells him, what I'm teaching, you will not understand. Next moment, Rumi sees all his books that are piled on his side are on fire. So this person who was there, he was looking at the books and they caught fire. So Rumi said, what are you doing? This person answered, you will not understand. So Rumi really realized what he has done, and he actually put everything aside, ran after this man, asked him, where can I find you? This man, whose name is Shamsi Tabriz, he said, find me in Makane Khamosh, meaning a place where is silence, absolute silence. There is man, but there is silence. And he left. So Rumi looked around for him, asked many people in the town, and could not find this man. He keeps asking, where is a place where there are people, but there are no sound, no silence? Nobody could answer his question. So he searched and searched, and then someday a wise man told him, there's a graveyard. A lot of people there, but there is no sound, there is no talk. It's a silent place. So then Rumi went and found Shamsi Tabrizi in the graveyard, Makane Khamosh. And then they developed a friendship based on which Rumi transformed to become a Sufi. He basically, under the tutelage of Shamsi Tabrizi, he wrote Masnavi, and Diwan Shamsi Tabrizi, the famous book written by Rumi, basically talks about Shamsi Tabrizi's philosophy and Rumi. So that's how Shamsi Tabrizi broke Rumi's ego, because he thought he's a big scholar and teach everything, but he basically taught him that knowledge is not in the books and in a place. So that's how Rumi became a Sufi. So how do you break this, our pride and arrogance? Remember, one of the diseases of the soul. So these are the Sufi practices they do. If you are present among people, try not to be known. If you are absent, do not be missed. If you know something, your advice is unsought. If you say something, your words are rejected. Don't feel you're very important, that nobody could reject your word. It's basically a testament of your control of your ego. If you do something, do not expect any credit for it, because that boosts our ego. If you are wronged, do not reciprocate, because why do we get mad at somebody? Because we think we are too big for somebody to hurt us, and we try in turn to hurt the other person. If you are praised, do not be glad, because that feeds your ego. If you are blamed, do not be distraught. Because again, it basically taking your ego inside. And if you are called a liar, do not be angry. These are the struggles of the Sufis. They try to follow these methods in their lives and practices to become a better human being so that they can connect to their soul. If you are betrayed, do not betray in return. So let me talk to you about some other Sufi stories, the story of Layla and Majnun and Romeo and Juliet. Layla and Majnun is an old Arab story, a love story, when Majnun falls in love with Layla, who comes from a different family background. So her family rejects him and does not want, or doesn't want to let him meet with Layla. They want to give Layla in marriage to some other, members of the family that they are in, relationship with. So Majnun goes to a shepherd and tells him, give me the skin of a sheep so I can hide and I can go with your sheep as a sheep, and then I could be seeing Layla. So he puts the clothing of the sheepskin on his body and becomes one of the like a sheep and kind of crawls and goes to Layla's house. And by seeing Layla's beauty, he faints. So the shepherd brings him back, and his friends come to his help, say that why you are in such a bad condition? You should this sheepskin is not going to protect you from cold or weather. So why don't we change it? So Majnun says, no garment is worth of dear Layla, but I wear this skin for love. Basically, Majnun has lost himself in the love of Layla. His identity is lost. That's the love story about Layla and Majnun, that separates all these family, ethnic groups, all those differences are gone through the love. Now, if you look at our modern story of Romeo and Juliet, many of you have heard that Shakespeare's famous story, where the same kind of thing happens, that for love, basically both are dead, in both the story of Layla and Majnun. So what happens same thing happens with Juliet and Romeo. They are from two different families that are fighting with each other, Capulet and Montague. So what happens, because Capulet family hates Montague family, they don't want to give Juliet in marriage to Romeo. So he sneaks in, if you remember this balcony scene from the Romeo and Juliet movie, he sneaks in and risks his life for the sake of love. Okay? And then he hurts. What does the Juliet say in Shakespeare's word? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, because they could not meet because of the name of the two families. Romeo was from the Montague family. Or if thou wilt not be but sworn my love, I will no longer be a Capulet. She basically tries to give up her family's background. So essentially what love does, love basically takes us away from our own identity. If you look in this current world, we are Hindu, we are Muslims, we are Christians, these are all issues of identity. And these identity, too much focus on our religious identity, basically forces us to lose connection with our fellow human beings. So through these love stories, we see the importance of love, loving our fellow human being, connecting to our soul. That's the basic philosophy of love. In the Valley of Love that I talked about, the Sufi basically talks about that. So love is a fire that burns the ego. Rumi says, Jumla mashuk aste ashik murdae, zinda mashuk aste ashik murdae. Meaning that the beloved is everything, the lover a shadow. The beloved is the living one, the lover a dead thing. Basically we lose our eye, because if we have these eyes missed, we cannot connect to our soul, we cannot reach God. A Sufi love song from Rabindranath Tagore, He is the first Asian to win a Nobel Prize in Literature.
হে বন্ধু হে অন্তর তর এ জীবনে যা কিছু সুন্দর সকলিয়া বেজে উঠুক সুরে প্রভু তোমার গানে তোমার গানে তোমার গানে ধায় যেন সকল ভালোবাসা
He's dedicating entire love to God.
প্রভু তোমার পানে তোমার পানে তোমার পানে
You can see the Sufi feelings of love and dedication and devotion to God is universal. In every country, in every religion, you will find that. That's what I'm trying to show you, that it is not bound by a particular religion, not by a particular geography. So in the Valley of Love, this is a quotation from my book, to love is to reach God. Then, what are the practices of Sufi? How do they travel on the path of love? There are three things they do. That you struggle hard to develop the respect and love for all things that are beautiful and harmonious in the world, including human beings, animals, nature. Because God has created all those things, so you try to develop a respect and love for all of them. The other thing you do is active, sacrificial love service to people. Service to people is the essence of Sufism, helping other human beings. And then broadening the love to all manifestations of the world without discriminating between them. Those are the three fundamental practices in the Valley of Love for the Sufis.
لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون وما تنفقوا من شيء فإن الله به عليم.
I keep quoting from Quran because that is a source book for Sufis to drive their inspiration. Obviously in other religions, as I've showed you before, there are other source books, other great scriptures. People get, their ideas from there. So what's said in here? It basically is saying that you will never attain true piety unless you spend on others out of what you cherish yourselves. So you need to spend on others. Charity is the essence of Sufism. If you do not do love service to the people, then you are not crossing the valley of love. So this is, this is the inspiration that draw from the Quran. So what is the Sufi take-home message? Do good to others with love. And this is a quotation from Sheikh Saadi of Shiraz, Iran. He's saying, the children of Adam are like limbs of one body, having been created from one essence, all of us, all religious people, all people in the world. When the calamity of time afflicts one limb, when one limb is hurting, the other limbs cannot remain at rest. If you have no sympathy for the trouble of others, you are not worthy to be called by the name of man. So that is the lessons that a Sufi, famous Sufi Sheikh Saadi talked about in terms of the valley of love. Love is all we need. If you remember this famous video.
There comes a time when we heed a certain call, when the world must come together as one. There are people dying. Oh, when it's time to lend a hand to life, the greatest gift of all. We can't go on pretending day by day that someone somewhere will soon make a change. We are a part
All part of the same family.
God's great big family, and the truth, love is all we need. We are the children. We are the ones who make a brighter
And giving is not only limited to money. Remember that charity actually includes everything. Just giving a smile to your other person, helping them in non-monetary ways is also charity. We face so many people in our life. Just smile at them. That's charity. You make somebody else's day beautiful. That's charity. And that's what the essence of Sufism is, giving. So now, closing a very understanding. Throughout the world, everybody takes a different way. Some pray in mosques and some in idol shrines. As we move to the third valley, we have crossed the valley of the quest, valley of the love. We are now into the valley of the understanding. So Sufi wisdom in the valley of understanding. That we need to realize God actually has created us different. And how do the Sufi understand that thing?
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا.
So in Quran it says, O mankind, we created you from a single pair of male and female and made you into nations and tribes that you may know each other. So it's God's creation. So again a Sufi story comes back, like a mother who bakes different kinds of cookies. Some are color red, some are triangle, some are circle. And the children are fighting over different kinds of cookies. Do you want to continue to fight and kill each other for that cookie? Of course not, because we are all, brothers and sisters in this art. So that's a Sufi story. They teach that we are different, but we are all the same. And Sufi wisdom is that in Quran they find that God said there is no difference among prophets. And why create this difference among the followers?
قولوا آمنا بالله وما أنزل إلينا وما أنزل إلى إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق وما أنزل إلى إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط وما أوتي موسى وعيسى وما أوتي النبيون من ربهم لا نفرق بين أحد منهم ونحن له مسلمون.
Translation it says that we believe in Allah, the revelation given to us, Abraham, Ismail, Isaac, Jacob, and the tribes, and Moses and Jesus, and that given to all prophets from the Lord. We make no difference between one and another of the prophets. That's the directive from the Quran, and we bow to Allah. So essentially they're saying, Sufis are saying that if the Quran tells you that they don't distinguish among the prophets, who are you to make this difference and create these differences among the followers? And so if basically trying to understand from the others, if we go back to Disney.
I think the only people who are people are the people who look and think like you. But if you walk the footsteps of a stranger, you learn things you never knew. Have you ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of the mountain? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
Sufis are the painters of the colors of the wind. If you can think about that way, essentially you need to walk in the footsteps of the stranger. Try to understand the other side of the people, different religions, different culture, different practices. So is Sufism only a sublime poetry, songs, and metaphorical stories that I talked to you about? You might wonder, these are all good words, but do they really mean anything? So let me take you to some of the practical applications of Sufism. You probably heard about this famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. More than 25 million copies have been sold. It is written by Stephen Covey, a Mormon Christian from Utah. One of the 7 habits is seek first to understand and to be understood. You need to put yourself in the shoes of others before you make a judgment. These are the great applications of this philosophy that you need to understand. And Rumi's saying is that in order to speak, you must listen to the others. Learn to speak by listening. That's one of our major problems. Developing listening skill will make us successful also in our business life. This book I'm talking about, Stephen Covey, is one of the business bestsellers in the world. Basically talks about first seek to understand others' viewpoint, political opinion, business opinion, rather than fighting with each other. Then making the world a better place, more practical applications of Sufism. I'm going to show you. Ibn Arabi, another great Sufi from the 12th century, says, the ways to God are many as the breath of human beings. So how do we apply these kind of principles in real life? Essentially, when you do some community work or form organizations, you'll see what we face, there are lots of opinions. But your ultimate goal could be reached by any opinions. So what happens, we fight with each other. My opinion, your opinion, we can argue against each other. Sometimes you'll find out that your opinion may not be significantly different from the other person's opinion. So if you try to work together and basically think about there are many ways to reach the goal of your community organization, of your company, of your business, you might be able to solve this problem of fighting about our own opinion. When I disappears, God appears. If you're searching for God in your life, get rid of I. Our I-ness causes a lot of our trouble. A lot of our trouble is coming from our own ego. We keep feeding a lot of foods to our ego, and that creates more and more problems. Sell cleverness and buy bewilderment. Another advice from Rumi. What does it mean? Cleverness is essentially like judgment. We hasten to judge people. Bewilderment is kind of intuition, that you think about that person's intent and accept that person as they are, not necessarily judging them. So those you'll see in your personal life, in your family life, in your business life, everywhere you can apply these principles. Speak beautifully. There's a famous quotation in Quran that when you see another person, speak to that person beautifully. Don't be angry. Don't be selfish. Just speak nicely. That solves a lot of our problem. We see a lot of our problem is basically we do not speak nicely to each other. A lot of argument, a lot of fights happens in our family life, in our personal life, in our friends' relationship. If you just follow this principle, speak beautifully, you'll find out a lot of problems are gone. Remember that. That's a very important philosophical mindset change. Then in Quran it says, Inna Allahi yuhibbul muhsinin. God loveth those who do good. As I mentioned to you, Sufism is fundamentally based on ihsan. Essentially, you need to do good. And doing good is very important. Now you may say doing good is only just charity. That is not true. Doing good could be many other ways. And I'll show you how this principle has been taken by one great man and turned into a very different thing that we have never known 30 years ago. Muhammad Yunus from Bangladesh, he's a Nobel Prize winner in 2006. He's saying that his goal is to send poverty to museum. He thinks a lot of the world problems that we see are because of poverty, and he wants to send poverty to the museum. In his philosophy, he believes there should not be any poverty in the world, everybody should be employed. But how do you do that? He believes charity is the way to do that. So he said, I want to create businesses. So doing business by doing good. All of us typically think, like for example, there are 800 million people go hungry every day in this current world that we're living. Okay? So there are two types of businesses. One, most of the business we think is maximization of profit. Basically, give the money to me. I invest some money, I want a lot of return to me. That's called a maximization of profit model, which is selfish. It's again me. But he thinks there is another way called doing good to people, selfless, social business enterprise. This is the idea he came about with. And what does it do in the social business enterprise? So he's saying that how it is different from a non-profit charitable organization. Okay? He thinks the characteristic of social business enterprise is it is run like a business, it's self-sustaining. What happens in a charity organization? You give some money, let's say you give $1,000 donation to a charity. That money has only one life. That money being used to help somebody in the poor and is gone. There is no recycling back of this money. So Professor Yunus said, no, we cannot do that because charity cannot solve the problems of the world. We have to create a business out of this money. So what do? We basically run it like a business. We take this $1,000 from our donor and use it in a business so that it becomes multiple life. This money is rotated back into the business. That's the nature of the businesses. So in this business model, there is no profit goal. It's a social goal, no monetary profit. But it does not lose money. In a charity organization, you get money this year, you donate it to the poor people, then you need more money. Basically, it's a loss framework. But in a social business enterprise, your goal is not to lose money. But it does not give any dividend. Original investments are paid back. All your donors, all your shareholders who donate for a cause or for a charity, they get the investment back, but there is no profit. So basically, this business starts, it's run like a business, it creates money, recycles the money, and helps the poor people. It's called social business enterprise. And profits are reinvested. Employees are not free workers, not volunteers, like in charity organizations. They basically get market wages. This kind of philosophy actually, kind of changed the whole world in the last 20 years. Now Harvard is offering special MBA on social enterprise. Stanford is offering social entrepreneurship, MBAs, and many other top schools in this country and the rest of the world are offering how to create social business enterprises. But remember, it is not a charity organization, it's a business. So he took that I could do good, I could be doing ihsan by doing business also. This kind of approach has changed this world. A lot of social enterprises are being created right now, and a lot of social business are being created in order to help us. But remember, if it's a charity, if you take the money and just give it, donate it, it's not a business, it just not recycle back, then it's not a social business enterprise. So some people get confused with the non-profit or charity organization social business enterprise, but if you don't understand the difference between the two, then you'll be misled. The purpose is to create multiple life for the same money. So it's basically, again, taking the same principle of ihsan. So I was trying to show you that you take this philosophy of Sufism or other philosophies from other religions, which are equivalent, you turn into practical concepts of life. So it is not only sublime poetry or songs. In the value of understanding, so in the value of understanding, we're still in the value of understanding, basically showing us that we need to find our own path. Everybody travels on a different path, okay? So what is the Sufi wisdom in this value of understanding?
ولو شاء ربك لآمن من في الأرض كلهم جميعا أفأنت تكره الناس حتى يكونوا مؤمنين.
And if the Lord willed, all who are in the earth would have believed in one religion. So wouldst thou compel men until they are believers? The intent here is that God did not win everybody to be one religion, because diversity is the beauty of the world.
لا إكراه في الدين.
The famous quotation from Quran again, there is no compulsion in religion. You cannot force somebody to become this way or that way. So now I'm going to show you a movie clip from a very famous movie called PK, an Indian movie. Essentially, one of the Sufi message in here. How many of you have seen the movie PK? Many of you. It's a beautiful movie. I'll show you a clip from here that basically shows how we need to abolish duplicate God. Because we have created gods, many gods. There's only one God, but we have created many gods by our own interpretation of our own scriptures. So this is what happens, just to give you some background to those who have not seen the movie. An alien comes from the outside world into our world. Finds people are looking for God and they're doing a lot of things in search of God. And there are many, religious leaders who are making religion a business, and as if they could help you reach God through this method or that method. And in this movie, I should warn you though, it kind of shows a Hindu leader and kind of shows these aliens' understanding and interpretations of the Hindu leader. But honestly, this is true for all religions. So in the movie, obviously, they could not show 10 religions doing the same sort of thing. So they picked up Hinduism in India setting and did this thing. So you'll see these, but keep it, listen to these questions or the statements made by the aliens. Because he loses, what happens, he comes in with a remote that will connect him to his satellite, and somebody steals it. And he starts looking for it. Somebody steals it and sells it to a Hindu religious leader who kind of tells his followers, this is something from the gods in a garden. So he kind of tries to make a temple about it. But this person is looking for his device so that he can go back. And then he looks, everybody says, look, God will be able to help you find it. So he looks for God, goes to different religious houses, and he could not find God anywhere. So he kind of comes up with a poster saying God is missing. And gives it to everybody. Okay? So he's looking for the God. And it's a very interesting conversation in this clip. Let me show that to you.
एक सवाल और आप सबका स्वागत है इस बहुत ही खास शो पे जहां हम आपकी मुलाकात कराएंगे।
एक मिनट रुकिए। लाइए, ये क्या है? भगवान कहते हैं उनके डमरू का टूटा हुआ मन का, ये कहते हैं इनकी प्रॉपर्टी। भगवान कहते हैं मंदिर बनाओ और ये कहते हैं मंदिर हटाओ। अब हम किसकी सुने, भगवान की या इनकी? जब पीला हेलमेट पहन के ये पर्चे बांट रहे थे, देखिए देखिए, पहले कहा भगवान लापता है, उसके बाद कहा भगवान फ्रॉड है। कल को ये भी कह सकते हैं कि भगवान मर गए। बेटा तुम चाहते क्या? एक ऐसी दुनिया जहां भगवान हो ही ना। तुम्हें अंदाजा है इंसानों के दुखों का? खाने के लिए रोटी नहीं है, सर के ऊपर छत नहीं है, बात करने के लिए दोस्त नहीं है लोगों के पास। रोजाना कितने लोग आत्महत्या करते हैं मालूम है तुम्हें? नसें काट लेते हैं, पंखे से लटक कर मर जाते हैं। क्यों? क्योंकि उनके पास उम्मीद नहीं है। अगर भगवान के सामने माथा टेकने से, एक टीका लगाने से, हाथ में धागा बांधने से उनको जिंदगी जीने की उम्मीद बनती है, तो तुम कौन होते हो उनसे उनकी ये उम्मीद छीनने वाले? और अगर तुम लोगों से उनका भगवान छीन ही लेना चाहते हो तो ये बताओ कि उसके बदले में तुम उन्हें क्या दोगे? नहीं, हमेशा ये बोलते रहते हैं ना, रॉन्ग नंबर रॉन्ग नंबर। तो आज हम सबको बताइए यहां पर कि राइट नंबर क्या है।
आप बिल्कुल ठीक बोलता है तपस्वी जी। एक टाइम था जब हमारे पास भी खाए के लिए रोटी नहीं थी, रहे खातिर घर नहीं था, बहुत ही रोता था क्योंकि कौनो दोस्त भी नहीं था ना। वो वक्त हमारा एक ही सहारा था, भगवान। रोज लगता था कल बेहतर होगा, भगवान कौनो रास्ता निकालेगा। हम मानता हूं कि भगवान में विश्वास रखे से उम्मीद मिलता है, तकलीफ से जूझे खातिर हिम्मत मिलता है। ताकत मिलता है। लेकिन हमरा एक सवाल है, कौन से भगवान पे विश्वास करें? आप लोग बोलता है एक भगवान है, हम बोलते नहीं, दो ही भगवान। एक जो हम सबका बनाया और एक जेका तुम लोग बनाए। जो हम सबको बनाया उसके बारे में हम कुछ नहीं जानता, लेकिन जेका तुम लोग बनाया वो बिल्कुल तुम्हारे जैसा है। छोटा, घूस लेता है, झूठे वादे करता है, अमीरों को जल्दी मिलता है, गरीबों को लेन में खड़ा करता है, तारीफ से खुश होता है, बात बात पे डराता है। हमारा रेट नंबर बहुत ही सिंपल है। जौन भगवान हम सबका बनाया वो पे विश्वास करो, और जेका तुम लोग बनाया वो डुप्लीकेट गार्ड को हटाई दो।
आप हमारे भगवान को हाथ लगाएंगे और हम चुपचाप बैठे रहेंगे। बेटा, हमें अपने भगवान की रक्षा करना आता है।
तुम करेगा रक्षा भगवान का? तुम? अरे इतना सा है ही गोला, इससे बड़ा बड़ा लाखों करोड़ों गोला घूम रहा अंतरिक्ष में, और तुम ही छोटा सा गोला का छोटा सा शहर का छोटा सा गली में बैठकर बोलता है कि वो की रक्षा करेगा। जौन सारा जहान बनाया वो तुम्हारी रक्षा की जरूरत नहीं है, वो अपनी रक्षा खुद ही कर सकता है। आज कौन अपना खुदा का रक्षा करने की कोशिश किया और हमारा दोस्त चला गया। बस ये रह गया है वो का जूता। अपने भगवान की रक्षा करना बंद करो, नहीं तो ये गुलाब है, इंसान नहीं सिर्फ जूता रह जाएगा।
एक मुसलमान बम फोड़े और एक हिंदू गुरु यहां बैठकर तुम्हारा लेक्चर सुने। अच्छा,
कौन हिंदू कौन मुसलमान? ठप्पा किधर है, दिखा। ये फर्क भगवान नहीं तुम लोग बनाया है, और यही गोला का सबसे डेंजर रॉन्ग नंबर है, सबसे खतरनाक रॉन्ग नंबर है। इससे लोग मरता है, अलग होता है।
You see, it's a very interesting message from this movie. Basically, it talks about how we disconnect people from each other by creating this duplicate God. So, from the Sufi message, abolish the duplicate God. Don't try to protect the real God. You know, like somebody tries to protect God, blows up this building or this train because they think their religion is in danger if they don't protect it. So, what will happen? We'll end up with no humans on this planet if we don't stop that. That's the message of the Sufi interfaith messages. So this is the idea that in 1993, Harvard professor Samuel Huntington came up with the theory, clash of civilization. He believed that civilizations are kind of polarized in Islamic civilization, Hindu civilization, Western, and other Chinese and other civilization. And he believed that all these civilizations, because of their cultural differences, they're going to be in a fight. And this clash of civilization model has created big problem in the world. We have seen a lot of wars in the last 20 years because people subscribe to this idea that we cannot talk to each other. We're all different, so we must fight and resolve it. That took us to multiple wars in the last 20 years. So I came up with, in my book, basically I talked about how do we create a friendship of civilizations. So in my book, what I did, I came up with a theory that counters the clash of civilization theory. I said, let us build a house of friendship of civilization. The foundation of the house is dignity of difference. And the 4 pillars of the house is geographic luck, personal character, honest communication, and religious pluralism. And the brace that binds these pillars are called overlapping consensus, and the roof is a compassionate God. Let me explain that to you. So the 4 pillars that I talked about, geographic luck, we need to understand and recognize geography is the primary determinant of our religion. I'm a Muslim because I'm born in Pakistan or Bangladesh maybe. If I were born in Germany, I most likely would have been a Christian. Or I would be Hindu in India or a Muslim. So it's essentially geographical luck determine our religion. There is no magic in it. There's no reason for us to be really proud about all those things. Exclusivism and inclusivism are difficult to justify. Exclusivism means that my religion is the only truth, everything else is wrong. Or inclusivism means that my religion is a super truth, your religion is weak, I'll accept it. Both are not acceptable philosophy. Every human has divinity in them. Maulana Rumi said that, Swami Vivekananda said that, Walt Whitman, another great American poet, said the same thing. The geographic lack, we need to understand that. We also need to focus on our personal character. Rather than talking about what the Quran said or Gita said or Bible said and fight about those kind of things, let us focus on our personal character. All religion talks about good deeds, humility, compassion, charity, love, and tolerance. If we focus on our personal virtues, we'll spend our lifetime in correcting ourselves. Gist of all worship is to be pure, safa, which is the root word of Sufism. Honest communication. We sometimes take this scripture or that scripture and find faults in other people's scripture. We talk about this religion is all evil, all war and everything. That is not true. Every religion has elements of war and peace. All religion, including atheism, contains non-violent, belligerent behaviors. So our understanding of the secular is incomplete. Truth is one, religious scholars, Rigveda says variously. So dignity of difference essentially says that we need to respect the dignity of difference. We cannot expect everything to be the same religion for the entire world. Overlapping consensus is a concept put forward by John Rawls, Harvard professor. He basically says mere tolerance of each other's ideology is not sufficient. Citizens must seek an overall consensus to act in a set of principles. So that will help us base this house of friendship of civilization I talked about. And the roof of this house is the compassionate God. Principle of compassion lies at the heart of all religions. And we need to basically build this house through different philosophical things that come to our mind. There's a Sufis of Bengal. There's a song from Lalan, who is another,
Loke koi lalon ki jat সংসারী সব লোকে কয় লালন কি জাত সংসারী কেউ মালা কেউ তসবি গলে তাইতে কি জাত ভিন্ন বলে যাওয়া কিংবা আসার কালে যাওয়া কিংবা আসার কালে জাতির চিহ্ন রয় কারে সব লোকে কয় লালন কি জাত সংসারী জগৎ জুড়ে জাতির কথা লোকে গল্প করে যথা কথা লাল ফলে জাতির পাতা ডুবাইছি সাত বাজারে সব লোকে কয়লা
Love and knowledge are two wings of a Sufi. Rumi is the poet of love. Ibn Arabi, another Sufi, is poet of knowledge. Bertrand Russell, an atheist, also has this Sufistic concept here. He said a good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge. Neither love without knowledge nor knowledge without love can produce good lives. So value of love and value of understanding is very important. I'm going to run a little faster because I think I'm running short of time and I want to cover a couple more values.
ومن كل شيء خلقنا زوجين لعلكم تذكرون.
Everything is created in prayer. So in a Sufi philosophy, whatever you do, remember you'll get praise and blame. Don't take it personally. So when you're doing some good work, things become clear by opposite. Don't expect that you'll be praised for your good work all the time. God turns you from one feeling to another and teaches by means of opposite, so that you will have two wings to fly, not one. All praise is bad, all blame is bad. So accept in your philosophical life that whatever good work you do, you'll get some praise and some blame. In the path of knowledge, one of the great things is basically trying to increase your knowledge. This is something that my father actually used to tell us all the time. Rabbi zidni ilma. Oh God, increase me in my knowledge. And this is embedded in my life through my father's influence. And remember, in Quran, the first word that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad is Iqra, read, meaning that you need to acquire knowledge. And also Prophet Muhammad mentioned that seeking knowledge is compulsory to every Muslim woman and man. And also he said that even if you have to go to China for knowledge, go there. So the knowledge is a very important thing in religion of Islam and also in other religions, obviously. So, you might say, okay, it looks good. Why Islam is associated with terrorism? How about the sword wars that you all see in the media that go kill the infidels? How do you explain those kind of things? Rather than explaining to you that these sword bars out of context, this or that, other than explanation, I'll give a Sufi answer. Mullah Rumi said, Har duet gul khurde zambura nahal leke zi shudanish za digar asal. English is, wasp and bee both drink for the same flower nourishing. Nevertheless, from one comes the honey, from the other the sting. They drink from the same flower, but one creates honey, the honeybee, and the wasp creates a sting. Russell saw only a sting. In his book, Why I'm Not a Christian, he basically says, he attacked religion. He said religion prevents us from remembering the fundamental causes of war. Religion prevents us from teaching the ethic of scientific cooperation instead of old, fierce doctrine of sin and punishment. It is possible that the mankind is on a threshold of golden age, but if so, it is first necessary to kill the dragon that guards the door, and that dragon is religion. He said that because he only saw the string. In the recent book, The Myth of Religious Violence, basically this author has shown there are more violence for non-religious causes in the world. We just blame religion for no good reason. And in my book, I have shown you how war and peace is abundant in all religions, including atheism. So the value of detachment. I'll cover this in a couple of minutes and then we'll stop probably. Fly in the beehive, another Sufi story. There was a fly who saw a nice beehive. So he wanted to get the honey. So he was saying that I'll give you $1 if you guys lift me and put me into that honey beehive. So a passerby saw the fly and took the fly and put it in the honeybee. Then the fly went there and got stuck in the honeybee. Could not come out. It's like our own life. We prosper in our life, then we got stuck in the magic of life, the prosperity, the money, the fame, and all those things. And they could not get out of that life. So that's kind of what happens to us. So then the fly said, to get into this, I gave a grain. I would offer double to get it again. All of us are trying to really find our soul, go to spirituality, but we cannot find a way because we are stuck in this world. So attachment basically keeps us in this world and causes trouble. So now we're going to pay double the money to get out of it. So that's why we need to find different ways, different religions. As I mentioned to you, Vedanta, Moksha, and Gnosticism, and all the Sufism. All those things are the ways to unstuck ourselves from the thing. A Sufi is an enlightened sage. If we go to Gita, in Bhagavad Gita, it says that a person whose mind is unperturbed by sorrow, who does not crave pleasure, and who is completely free from attachment, fear, and anger is called an enlightened sage of steady intellect. That is the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, that we need to detach ourselves from the worldly desires and praise. I should tell you a quick story about the Buddhist monk and detachment. The Buddhist monk, one night his entire house was burned. So there is nothing in his house, his whole house is burned by fire. But he looks up the sky and sees a full moon. So he says, at last, a full view of the moon. So he forgets that the house is burned. He kind of enjoyed the nature, because from the house, from the window, you can see the full moon. So that's the detachment we need to achieve in our fun. Another Sufi story I should tell you, very interesting story. The Junaid Baghdadi, another great Sufi from Iraq in the 12th century. One day he was working with his disciples, and he saw a cow is led by a man. So he stopped the man and also stopped his disciple. Asked him a question, who do you think is in control? The cow or the man? Who's driving who? All disciples said, oh no, the guy is in control. He has the rope to drag the cow. Wherever he's going, the cow is following him. So the Junaid Baghdadi takes a scissor and cuts the rope. The cow starts running. Now the man starts running after the cow. So Junaid Baghdadi said to his disciples, now who is in control? The cow is not interested in this man, but this man is running in circles behind the cow. So it is like our world. The world of its glory is not interested in us. We are running after fame, running after a lot of these things. World doesn't care about us. The detachment from worldly desire basically helps us cure all these diseases. And what is Sufi taking message? So basically we need to pray like this every day. And then this is a prayer from the Quran again that Muslims prays every single day.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
So now we arrive at the fifth point, the value of unity. This is the value of unity. End of today's lecture. I couldn't finish all the value. 3 more values to go. We covered the 4 values, 3 values today. The value of unity, value of bewilderment, and value of death. We have to probably have another lecture. I'm sorry, I promised you guys that I'll finish this time, but given the material and the breadth of the things that I need to cover, it's very difficult. I hope you understand my efforts. So just to give you a preview what we'll be talking about in the next lecture. More Sufi stories while crossing the values. We talked about the theory of Ana al-Haq, I'm God by Mansur Hallaj. We'll talk about Rumi's explanation of that one and their practices. We'll talk about zikr and different religions. And we'll talk about end of the journey. After these birds cross the 7 valleys, what did they find? And there's a mystery of the word Simud. We'll disclose this mystery. And then we'll talk about mysteries of selflessness, Ramozi Behodi by Iqbal, a great Pakistani poet. And we'll also talk about how does one become a Sufi. So I think that's about it. Thank you all for your patient listening. Thank you.
I thank Dr. Saquib Najmus for his beautiful and captivating presentation. And of course he could not finish, but we shall definitely try to figure out how the rest of the presentation can be made here. Okay, before I make the announcements, I request our ushers to come and do their duty. Next Sunday, the subject of talk is, that is on May 24th, birth, death and rebirth. And on Wednesday we have a class on Bhagavad Gita. We shall continue to study Bhagavad Gita. That class will be at 7:30 p.m. in this auditorium. And this week being the Memorial Day weekend, there will be no evening class on May 23rd. But there is a beautiful program that is organized by our San Francisco Center on the Memorial Day. So they have invited us and all of you to attend that program. And this time they have chosen the subject, Religion for World Peace. And there are two speakers. One is the Reverend Dr. Gwen Guibord and Swami Atma Vidyananda of Hollywood Center. And this first speaker, the Reverend Dr. Gwen Guibord, is the creator and founder of the Guibord Center Religion Inside Out, which is the culmination of nearly 2 decades of working with leaders of many faith traditions to explore and afford the holy experience and presence that transforms the world. In that way, there is a beautiful background that they have mentioned. So that program starts, as I told you, at 10 a.m. in a place called Olima, which is in the Point Range. And the program consists of this presentation in the morning part, and they will serve light lunch at 12:30. And again the session will be there at 1:30 with meditation and questions and answers. And that will be moderated by Swami Tattvamananda. And finally the program will end at 4 p.m. with buffet dinner. So you are most welcome to attend, and if you want a ride and all those things, you can register your name in our library or in the bookstore, and we shall see if we can help you in the ride. And there will be no Vesper service tonight. Incidentally, when Dr. Najmus was presenting his Sufism talk, it came to my mind, some of you might not be knowing that Sri Ramakrishna actually practiced Sufism. He practiced in this way when he was in that Kali temple in Dakshineshwar. He met one Sufi convert. His name was Govind Rai. That means he got himself converted to practice Sufism and was very evolved soul in practice. His name was Wajid Ali Khan. And Sri Ramakrishna became so interested that he took initiation from him and practiced Islam or whatever practice he used to taught him, and in that way he had the highest realization. So in that path also. That is why we believe, or not only believe, we also preach, and also Sri Ramakrishna, in one way many people say, scientifically prove that through any path that is, if it is practiced sincerely, one can reach God. And that is the theme of Sufism also. That means God is one and people can reach by different ways. So I thought that I shared that information with you. If you want to read about that, you may go to, there is one biography, authentic biography of Sri Ramakrishna, the great master by Swami it is written by Swami Saradananda in Bengali, but it has been translated into English by Swami Jagadananda, and also very recently by Swami Chetananda, the divine play. In that way, that book gives the description of Sri Ramakrishna's practice of different religion and in what way actually he reached the same goal. And I thank you very much for attending. I see many new faces, and I hope I shall be seeing these faces many more times. Om madhuvatarithayate madhuksharanti sindhava madhi irna santoshadhi madhunakto mutosasi madhumat parthivagang rajaha madhudaurastuna pita madhumanna vanaspatihi madhumagang astu surjaha Ma dhirgavo bhavantunah. Om madhu madhu madhu. Sweet blow the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the earths and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us with the shining sun. Sweet unto us with the all-living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace.